Alright guys, so I want to start off with the first game of the season between the Chiefs and Detroit Lions. Surprisingly enough, this could be a very high scoring game. The Lions defense is definitely not the top tier unit that, they want to be. They still have pretty good pass rusher in Aiden Hudson. But overall wise, Patrick Mahomes is probably going to move the ball at ease against this Lions defense. He's also coming off a Super Bowl championship, so he's going to try to just dominate this game and make it all about the fact of how good he is, right? So with that being said, we're going to see a lot of just crazy quarterback play by the Chiefs side. And even if, let's say, for example, the Chiefs dominate this game, there's going to be a lot of garbage time for the Lions side to come back in this game. Now, it's very possible this game ends up being like a 28-24 back and forth game, but even if it is a Chiefs blowout, it's still going to be a very good game, and there's going to be a lot of fantasy points to go around. Now, this is, of course, a showdown slate. This is not your classical, Draftkings lineup. So pretty much how this works, if you are new, is you have a captain, which gets a multiplier. So they get a multiplier based on whatever they finish with. And then you have flex slots that just get your normal whatever points they get. We have done this in the past where, let's say, for example, we know it's going to be a bad game or an ugly game. You could go with a defense at your captain spot or a kicker. You just have to, that position has to get more points than anyone else on the field for you to win. Now, for this game, I am not touching a kicker. I'm not touching a defense. There is no reason why you should be touching either because there are so many playmakers on this unit for both sides that you can use. So starting off right away, I will say that the chalkiest plays, as always, will be, surprisingly enough, not both quarterbacks, but one quarterback. It will be Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is going to be the chalkiest play going into this game, 1,000%. He could put up 45 points in this night. So while, yes, he is a chalky team captain slot, should you avoid him at the captain spot is the question. Now, of course, he is the most expensive option. It's kind of questionable. It's going to be him and Kelsey as the most expensive options. But it's very possible, let's say, for example, if Kelsey has 3 or 4 touchdowns in this game because of Mahomes, he's going to get more points than Mahomes because obviously you get more yards. Well, you get more points per yards as a receiver or tight end, and you get 6 points for touchdowns instead of 4. It's one of those things where it's like very difficult in this game to, chalk up or say like, oh, these guys are too chalky, I'm going to avoid them, and I'm going to go somewhere else. This is the type of game where it's like, listen, if they're going to go off, they're going to go off with these two guys. So I might start off with this stack right here, which I never usually do. If you've been following the channel, you know I don't usually like going with the chalkiest stack. Because again, if you go with a chalky stack, how are you going to win anything? You're not going to win anything. Usually how you win is by having a very unique captain, and then you kind of, work your lineup around. So it's, when you have a chalky stack, it just doesn't work out at all. Alright, so let's go with Kelsey, Mahomes. Now, of course, if I'm painting this narrative, I always say when you are playing DFS or any kind of fantasy football, what I want you to do is paint the narrative on why you're going to win the $1 million, right? That's kind of how I look at these things all the time. So the narrative is, okay, well, Kelsey's going to have 3 touchdowns in this game. That means Mahomes is going to score a lot of points, and that means that there's going to be a lot of garbage time for the other team, right? Now, if there's a lot of garbage time for the other team, that's where players like Amon-Ra St. Brown could very possibly go off in this game. I do want to see some Lions options here. Gibbs, he is a rookie, so keep that in mind. I don't know how much he's going to really get in this game. They did get over to Jamal Williams. They got David Montgomery. I don't know if I love this running back core just because of the fact, again, it's going to be that kind of shaky who gets the most carries. They're probably going to play the hot hand week 1. Now, I will say Gibbs is more of a pure runner, while we see David Montgomery being more of a pass-catching running back. So it's very possible, and especially in a high-scoring game like this, back and forth, it could result in David Montgomery getting a lot more yardage overall-wise for that said reason. And I don't say a pass-catching running back. I mean, he's, for the most part, 2, 3, 4 receptions a game. Obviously, 18, he didn't have anything. But overall, was I don't want to say a pass catcher money, but he's not like an Austin Eckler. But he is going to be a guy who's going to get a lot of catches, probably in this game, especially if they get down by a lot. So I will say I'm going to go with him there. I'll be honest with you, I really like KC's options. I really love Kadarius Toney at 7,000 here. He should be absolutely fine. Keep in mind, though, again, right here, injuries, especially after training camp preseason. Some players, come up limping. They're just not 100% going into the upcoming game. So always keep an eye out on that. Rashid Rice is their new draft pick. I don't think he's going to have that much yardage in this game. What we saw last year with Sky Moore, they really did not implement him at all throughout the season. Like, I really thought because he was a first round draft pick, they would use him or utilize him as much as humanly possible, but they really didn't. And it's not really surprising when you look at how Andy Reid does his, kind of offense. I know for the longest time, Niall Davis was the backup, I think, to Jamal Charles, and he used every single person humanly possible except for Niall Davis. Niall Davis was a kick punt returner, but still, he would not use him as running back. It was absolutely hilarious. MVS always interests me because he kind of reminds me of Mike Williams. He's either going to have a huge game, a crazy game, or he's going to do absolutely nothing at all. So I don't really like to get to utilizing him in these lineups. Jerick McKinnon is another guy I'm kind of on the fence about, where I'm like, I don't know if I really love the option there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he shouldn't even play in this game, in all honesty. I'm surprised he's not cut. He'll probably end up getting cut before the season starts. So now I got a couple options here. I got a couple, around 2-3K options I want to go with. Now, usually these games especially, there's some guys at the very bottom here that you can kind of get to when it comes to like a cheaper play, and it lets you go more expensive elsewhere, and also lets you diversify your lineup. And I want to see if we can find any kind of decent plays like that. Reynolds could possibly be that guy. Again, last season he was a guy that pretty okay when it came to like getting some consistent games. He's starting off at 2,800. Not many people are going to go for him. He's going to be a very chalky play. This could work out in garbage time. So I will say overall wise, that could work out very well in garbage time. I might move kind of around from here. Again, Richie James, another cog, I would say, in that offense that could easily do good numbers. And to be honest, let's say hypothetically speaking, right? If we did go with this lineup, I don't know how I feel about it. Honestly, I might go with Isaiah Pacheco here over going with Montgomery. The only reason why is if this ends up being a blowout and the Lions have to come back, they might start just running the football nonstop with Isaiah Pacheco at the end there just to like kind of milk the clock off. So it's very possible they just end up doing that and they just kind of try to get the game over with. I wouldn't go Chiefs defense because, again, like I said, I think the Lions will score in this game. But if you really believe it's going to be a blowout and there's zero chance for the Chiefs, you could go with it. Well, you can't go with this. You have to go with at least one Lions player. So if you think it's going to be a complete blowout for the Chiefs here, you could, theoretically speaking, go with someone like... I actually wouldn't go with this kind of lineup. I mean, you could technically just say, like, okay, I'm going to... My last position, and this does happen in fantasy football sometimes, especially if you know it's going to be like a blowout. You could say, okay, well, I think it's going to be Khalif Raymond, right? So let's see. Yeah, he's pretty okay piece at 800. If this is what you could do, right? You could be like, okay, this could be a blowout. The Lions are going to get blown out so bad, they're going to put in their backups. Khalif Raymond should have more snaps. He's going to go out there and put up some good points, and that is how that's going to end up working. Now, again, keep in mind, this is a situation where if this is a blowout and it's one-sided for the Chiefs side, then you might want to put the Chiefs defense at the captain position. Because if the Chiefs defense allows 0 points in this game and they blow out the opponent, well, that probably means that they're going to have the most points if they get any kind of defensive touchdowns. But I don't think this is going to be that type of game. I think it's going to be, again, like I said before, a kind of, back and forth type of game a little bit. So I might actually find myself then going with David Montgomery. Again, like I said, it's going to be interesting. Week 1 is always interesting because you never know what is going to happen, especially with the fact that you have no track record, right? We always go into seasons thinking, okay, this team is like this team is good, this team is bad. But guess what? There was people who going into last year, thought the Eagles sucked. And then they went the best in the NFC and went ahead and got to the Super Bowl. So it's very possible it ends up going that way too. Sam Laporta is the new tight end for Detroit. He is not the... Is he... Yeah, he is a starting tight end for them. I just don't know how much a rookie tight end is going to get really reps here. And getting first team reps in this game, I don't know if I like it too much. I might actually find myself going with Khalif Raymond here. Khalif Raymond. And then finding myself going with someone like MVS possibly. I might find myself going with something like that. But again, guys, this is my first look, so I'm going to be breaking down all these players in future videos for this upcoming week and really going through all the best options, best players you should go with, players you should avoid, players that what I think their projected value is and how good they're going to do. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel for that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.